It's day 13. I'm just in a hotel, resting, recovering. Main issue at the moment is my blister, which I'll go through, explain in a little while. I just wanted to say a few words about these videos. I didn't really think that I was going to do these videos. My plan was just to take notes along the way on my phone, just type notes, that kind of thing. And I noticed that kind of slowed me down. I didn't really like doing that. I couldn't express what I wanted to say. And my phone is in a case, and when it gets sweaty, when it gets wet, typing isn't great. So I just started making little notes, just recording into the video. And then I thought, why not put them up on YouTube? Some people might find them interesting. I'm not a YouTuber or anything like that. I do very minimum editing. I basically just, at the end of the day, I just put all the clips into a timeline in an app on the phone and just delete stuff that just is unusable. And that's pretty much it. Pretty much everything that I record makes it into the video. Yeah, I don't have like a title sequence or anything like that at the start. It just is what it is. It's just simple notes. I noticed that I keep getting the day wrong really often, especially at the start. I would say, so this is day 3, and it says bottom, this is day 2, and the title's day 2. I don't know how I keep getting the day wrong, but whatever's in the title and whatever the text says, that's accurate. I double check the dates that the video's actually recorded. I quite enjoy doing these little videos. It's I was trying to think about it. Is it like someone to talk to, that kind of thing, like a company type thing? I think that maybe there is part of that, but I find that there's no kind of issues with loneliness or boredom or anything like that on this trip, because there are so many people to talk to, and I do talk to a lot of the locals, even when there's a kind of quite extreme language barrier. Even when I bump into someone that doesn't know a word of English, you can still communicate. You know, you still use hands, and there's kind of quite nice moments when you both figure out that you understand each other. And yeah, so there's no such that I haven't been bored or lonely or anything like that on this trip. But it kind of helps just putting my thoughts into video and talking to the camera. So I plan to do so for the rest of the trip. I talked to one of the locals just in this town yesterday about, there was a little scuffle outside, and we got chatting about crime rates, that kind of thing. He said that, yeah, and the same as my experience, most people are really friendly. Not really an issue here, but obviously there's a lot of people with very little here as well, and some people are really desperate. I mentioned to him about police, about the kind of potential mugging incident a few days ago. He said that, yeah, police, the way that he put it is, police are 50-50. Some police are there because they want to do a good job, they want to protect the public, that kind of thing, and some are there purely for the money. And in the way that he described it is, if they can see any opportunity to make extra money, they will, to the point of criminality. So going back to the incident a few days ago where I thought I was going to be mugged by 2 policemen, I think they probably, on balance, they probably were police. And on reflection, I think they probably did want to mug me in one way or another. You know, maybe they would have been happy with just a few rupees, somehow kind of more of a scam type thing. Or maybe they wanted to just steal everything. They were really insistent that I slept in the police station. They're kind of saying, you're welcome. Can they have food and you can sleep at the police station? They did say there were hotels there, but they said, no, you're going to sleep at the police station. Maybe their plan was just to take all my stuff, and that was it. I don't know. I had a little think about how much money I've spent so far on this trip before I got to this hotel, because this is the first kind of city that I got to. It's pretty small, but it's on the river. There's a big bridge here. It's Chisapani. Before I got here, I'm sure I spent well under £10 in the first 10 days of being here. And that's because I stayed in one other hotel, which was on the first night, which cost $2. And the rest of it was buying noodles here and there, paying people kind of like tips, that kind of thing, where it was comfortable to do so. So in some situations, it just wasn't comfortable. If someone is being really, really genuinely honest, and you can see they're really friendly, I tried it with one person and they were just, no, I don't want anything in return. And I just thought, yeah, that's, it just feels strange that you have this genuine connection with someone and then you offer them money. It's almost like kind of saying, I don't know. Obviously they could do with the money as well, but there's a balance somewhere, and I can see how it could be offensive if you offer money in that kind of situation. An incident that happened 3 days ago, I think, when I was camping by the river. When I was coming down from the mountains, walking through the forest, I wasn't sure, it was starting to get dark, and I was just thinking, do I camp in the forest, or do I carry on to a village and see if I can get a little hotel there? I really wanted a hotel because I had foot issues by then. I wanted to get somewhere where I can clean. I knew that the hotels were going to be really basic. They're going to be like the $2 place I stayed in at the start. But I wasn't sure how long the forest was going to go on for. So, and then I bumped into some people and they said that there is a village in about an hour's time. It was going to be dark at that time. But I thought, well, if I get there in an hour's time, it's dark, it doesn't matter, as long as I can find a place to stay. I was probably half an hour away and there was a big river crossing and it was already dark pretty much. I mean, it was almost pitch black. I made the decision not to start taking all my shoes off and crossing and all that. I was just going to camp by the river. I know not the best place to camp. I knew that the forecast was dry for the next couple of days. There was no kind of risk of the river swelling. So I camped by the river. And obviously the other risks are there's the main road that goes between the two villages that crosses the river. There's a lot of foot traffic, moped traffic across the river. I walked along the river to kind of get a secluded spot as much as I could. There was a load of corn, I think, growing on one side, and it bent away. So the further I went along, the more I was kind of hidden behind the corn. I walked for a little bit, and then I found a little cutout as well, which was just ideal. So I put the tent there, set in for a night. 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't know how I woke up, but in the distance there was obviously someone walking around with a really, really powerful torch, like more powerful than a car headlight, but it was obviously a torch. It was handheld, it was flickering about quite a lot. It looked like someone was looking for someone because they were like checking underneath trees, that kind of thing, but I saw it miles away, and it was someone along the road that was crossing the river. Not walking along the river, but along the road that was crossing the river. And I was just, straight away I just thought, that's weird, like 2 o'clock in the morning, what are they searching for? And I just hoped that they crossed the river and they just carried on down that road. But when they crossed the river, they turned in my direction. So suddenly, you can see the light kind of on the trees. They were checking the riverbanks on both sides, and I could hear the voices getting closer and closer. And I just thought, I don't know, this is not ideal. I don't know, maybe it's police, or I had no idea, but it just felt a bit uncomfortable because I thought, whoever it is, they're going to find me now, and there's going to be a bit of a, I don't know am I allowed to be there? I was a bit desperate because I was running out of time to find somewhere, so I didn't have the permission of where I was, the landowner who I was staying, which is unusual for me. I would normally, in that situation, I would just ask someone if I can camp on the edge of their land or anything like that, unless it's just totally remote and it's common land. Anyway, they were coming closer and closer until the light was just touching my tent, and then it seemed like they turned around and left, and that was it. So I thought, bit of relief because I can just get back to sleep, and I don't have to kind of wake up and explain myself and all that stuff. The next morning, a lady came over and she had very little English, but she was asking me if I had stayed here. I said yes, just up the river. I think from what I figured, she was saying that it's her land, and she was kind of a little bit like, no, you can't camp here, you can't camp here. And I just thought, well, fair enough. She's a bit peed off because it's her land and I've stayed there without asking. And she was mentioning something like, bad, like, no. And then she was kind of making money signal, that kind of thing. So I just thought, maybe she wants a bit of money, fair enough, I'll give her like $2, the same as I would have a hotel. I got my wallet out, and she was like, no, I don't want the money, don't want the money, don't want the money. And she was doing like, here, bad signal, and then knife, stabbing signal. So I think what she was explaining is basically, which is fair enough advice, is it was dangerous to camp there because of people looking to mug people, that kind of thing, which is fair enough advice that I think most people would say. Obviously camp away from a river, away from a main road, that kind of stuff. And she was saying sleep in a house, sleep in a house in the village, which is reasonable advice anyway. I don't know if it's anything, if it's linked at all to the tortures that I saw in the night, or whether she heard someone was actually looking for. Because when I come into these villages, obviously everyone's, a lot of these villages are, I've asked, and everyone that I've asked in that remote area has said that I am the first tourist that they've ever known come to those villages, ever. They said they've seen white faces about 2 years ago during the Civil War, where Americans were there. But in terms of tourists, everyone has said that I am the first one. So word gets around, I guess. I'm walking down these streets, everyone is looking. Maybe word gets to someone that thinks this is an opportunity to make a little bit of money. People ask me where I'm going, and I said, yeah, I know the name of the next village. I say, that's where I'm going to, hotel, okay, fine. When I obviously don't get to that village, maybe some people make an assumption that I've camped along the way, which is quite accurate. And maybe someone tried to come looking for me in the middle of the night. I don't know whether I was just really lucky that, a couple of feet closer along the river and they would have spotted my tent because the light was just starting to shine on the tent. Or if it was completely unrelated. I don't know. But I just thought it was very strange for someone to walk along there with such powerful light. I don't know what they were looking for at all. But that's another situation. So in the end, similar like the police potential mugging one, nothing really happened, but potentially a bit of a close call. This is the third day now that I'm in this hotel. 0 miles because of my blister. I've had an opportunity to wash all my stuff here. I've given it to the hotel laundry. It took just over a day, to kind of 30 hours to get it back. So it was the only opportunity to do it is because I'm staying here for longer than a day. I think in the future I'll just have to carry on washing it in rivers and sinks and all that kind of stuff because I won't get it back in time. The washing came back with a few items missing, which was a little bit annoying because everything that I brought is there for a very specific reason and I need every single bit of kit. What I normally do when I'm abroad and I hand over stuff for laundry is I just lay it out on the floor or the bed in little piles, and so I can see every item and then just take a photo of it. So some places ask you to fill out a form and list every single thing. I always just take a photo of it anyway, so when it comes back I can compare, or I can show the photo to the people here and say, this missing, where is it, even if I don't know the language, which is exactly what happened here. I ran them back, I showed them the photo, I said, these 2 items are missing, and then half an hour later they came over with the items. I don't know whether some places just kind of try it on, you just get a bag of stuff back, and maybe some people will just think, yeah, it seems to be all here, and a t-shirt or 2 are missing that people don't notice, and then whoever's washing it gets a free t-shirt. Or if it genuinely just kind of got lost in the laundry and it was just somewhere in the room and they forgot who it belonged to, that kind of thing. But anyway, my charger that I brought from UK has broken. So basically, I think because I'm just using my phone so much these last few days, I've just sorted out all my videos. My phone is constantly being charged. Maybe it was just a bit too much for it, and anyway, it gave up the ghost. And pretty lucky that it was in this village because I just popped out, and 2 minutes down the road there's a phone shop. I bought a new charger that's been flawless and a load of new credit for my phone. So here I've already gone through something like 25 gigabytes worth of data on my phone. Because I'm just recovering, I'm just watching YouTube videos, editing, uploading all the videos. There's a lot of data, but that 25 gig probably cost me £20, no, probably less than that, $20 for all that data. So it's not too expensive out here. not too much of an issue. So the reason why I'm here in the first place, my blister, I just want to explain what led up to the blister occurring and why it's taking so long to recover. Basically, on the first day of this whole trip, it rained a lot, and that was the day that I was running in wet feet. And I think I mentioned before that obviously I'm not taking anything like waterproof shoes or anything like that, because the vast majority of this trip is going to be dry. So I brought a dry kit. I just need to make it through these couple of weeks of the monsoon, which apparently is due to end, from what I heard, tomorrow. Literally, like tomorrow is meant to be the last rain, and then that's it. It's just sun for the rest of the trip. So I started getting a few blisters here and there. Most of them just disappeared. One didn't. I got a bit of advice about bursting them or not bursting them. General advice for hiking, running, anything like that. Depending on where the blister is, obviously the blister protects what's underneath from infection. So the general advice is, if you don't have to burst it, don't burst it, just leave it alone. It'll reabsorb itself, depending what stage it's at. If the blister is in a certain spot, like that's gonna keep hitting the ground, if there's a high risk of the blister bursting by itself, then the advice is do it in a controlled manner, so that you can disinfect it, clean it, that kind of thing, rather than it bursting in your sock when there's loads of, well, potentially lots of dirt and bacteria in there. So that's what I did. I disinfected a needle, I burst it, I drew the liquid that's inside out, I taped it up, tried to disinfected it, kept it as clean as possible. But obviously there's that hole now in the blister, and I tried to keep it as clean as possible over the next few days, but that was the time that I was in the most remote part of Nepal, and something got in, and it seemed to have got infected. It looked like there were black spots on the inside behind the skin. I got a little bit of advice from a doctor friend, and he said, well, on this occasion, because it looks like it is infected inside, it's probably best just to cut the roof of the blister out, clean it out completely. Especially as I'm in a hotel, I've got a pharmacy not far away. I can get all sorts of creams that I need to, antiseptics, and that's what I did. So I cut the whole blister. The blister was about 5 centimeters long, kind of oval, and it had 2 kind of darker spots. When I cut the skin out, there was just sand and dirt inside the blister that got through the one where I made 2 tiny little pinholes in it. So every time I cross a river, that kind of thing, any sand just in my shoes, it must have just got in. And that sand sandwiched between the roof of the blister and my foot just kept rubbing and rubbing, and just wore away at the meat, effectively, of my foot. So there was just no skin left in 2 spots underneath the blister. It's just worn right into the meat, and infected. So it's oozing pus and blood and all that kind of stuff. So I cleaned it up as much as I could with warm soapy water. I disinfected it with iodine and another insecticide with gin to start off with as well. That was the first thing that I did before I can get to the pharmacy. Then I asked someone from the hotel to get me some supplies, so I cleaned it all up, and that's when the recovery process started. But obviously it's not just a small blister, it's not just an irritation or anything like that, it's just worn away at the foot, and it's effectively just an open wound that needs to recover, and it's just taking time to recover. It's a lot better now. It was really swollen. I had to keep my foot elevated. As soon as I stand up, it feels like my foot just gets bigger and bigger, and that tries to kind of open the wound even more. So I'm just lying down for the last 3 days. I've just been ordering food, staying in the room, recovering, and just hoping that it seals itself up. One end of the blister has scabbed over, one end hasn't. I've Googled advice on it. It seems to be, generally people say, dry it out, keep it dry as soon as possible, keep it clean. Now I read a few articles online, and a lot of them say that recent advice says that to speed up healing of a wound, you should actually keep it moist, because the scab doesn't have, the scab has the purpose of sealing the area from bacteria, but if you can keep it clean and use something like an antiseptic or an antibiotic cream, then actually keeping it wet will make it heal quicker. Wet and warm, apparently, which is those are the conditions that are breeding ground for bacteria. But if you yourself can deal with the bacteria, then keeping it wet and warm will help your body deal with the wound and helping it heal. So I'm just here for a few days. I don't know, I'm probably going to be here for one more day. It really just, whenever I've tried to put a dressing on it, and just after maybe half an hour, when I stepped out yesterday, I put a dressing over it, and it just heals over the dressing. So if I take it off, it's peeling new skin off. So I can't put a dressing over it. I'm not really sure what to do. If it scabs over, then I know I can get going, but be it slowly or whatever, and keeping it clean and washing it every few hours. But I think because it's still raw and I can't really put a bandage on over it, I feel like I can't. I'm gonna have to just stay here until it fixes itself. So unexpected, a few days hit on my plan. But the plan is almost 3 months. So if you think about it, I was really tired anyway. It was 10 days on feet. I needed a 0 miles day anyway. I've had 3 so far. Yeah, this is my 3rd one. So in a way, I'm going a little bit stir crazy. I feel fine. I want to just get out there and run. I'm fully recovered, but I just need to wait. And one way to look at it, I think the most positive way that I'm looking at it is I've only had 2 days so far off the plan. So I would have had 1 recovery day here anyway. I've had 2 extra days. The whole trip is meant to be almost 3 months, so it's minimal. It really needs to heal. If it gets worse, that could really cause issues. It needs to heal, and I have had blisters in other places around my feet that kind of just get reabsorbed, and I feel like my feet are actually in a much better position now, because where the other blisters sort themselves out, it's kind of calloused over, it's hard skin there, and it shouldn't blister again. The monsoon is due to end, so it's supposed to be dry now. Hopefully I can keep everything much drier than before. It's starting to cool down again. I think in 2 weeks it's meant to be to really like almost 7 degrees less than it is now on average, which will help with less heat, less chance of blister, less sweating, that kind of thing. So I feel like if this can recover and heal and get better, and I can get back on my feet, then I am then in the best possible position to carry on and get some more mileage in and increase that daily average that's dropped quite a lot after the last 3 days of not doing anything. So it's been a little bit annoying that I'm here doing nothing, but in a way I've actually quite enjoyed it. It's been a proper little break, completely different to what I've been doing the last 10 days. The food here is really nice. They do lots of different food, and actually from different countries. So they've got Indian, American, Chinese food here. It's not the same as in the UK, but at least it's different. It's different from the same dish that I've had in the remote places, which is dal bhat. I've had a lot more variety. I'm trying to get as much vegetables in as I can to aid with recovery. I'm just relaxing. I'm on my phone, internet. Again, I'm really lucky that there's 3G here, so I've got really fast internet. So I'm trying not to see it as a negative. I'm trying to see it as a positive in terms of recovery, and I'm as fresh as I was 13 days ago at the start. So I'm going to have loads of energy. As soon as I am recovered, I'm going to have loads of energy. I'm going to be able to cover those miles and enjoy it more because I'm not tired. It's not that 10th day getting here. It was 37 degrees. It was between 60 and 80% humidity. It felt like a slog. I was along the highway as well. It felt like a bit of a slog to get here. Obviously in pain as well with my foot. And I kept checking my watch and the mileage. I was kind of like going and going, and then I've only done 5k. Right? Okay, I know it was something like 27, 28k to the hotel. It felt like a bit of a slog. I think that was just cumulative fatigue. That's all gone now. So yeah, I'm in a good position to carry on now. As soon as this heals, I'm ready to go.